Hello and welcome to Astro. On this channel, we're looking at serial killers from the astrological point of view. We're combining astrology and criminal profiling to try to understand what natal charts can tell us about these offenders. We'll be creating astrological criminal profiles to try to find similarities and differences in the astrological makeup of these killers to better understand criminal behavior in general. In order for someone to be classified as a serial killer, they must have killed at least 3 victims on separate occasions, which may be days, weeks, months, or even years apart. Some killers on our list have less than 3 confirmed victims, but more than 3 suspected victims, and they will also be included. Our list includes serial killers from around the globe who were born in the 19th and 20th centuries and whose date of birth data is available. While we're focusing on finding what made them tick from the astrological point of view, we must never forget their victims, victim families' pain, and the general death and destruction they have left behind. Before we start the investigation, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also turn on that notification bell so you never miss out on new videos. Let us begin our investigation. There are 83 Cancer serial killers. 7 are female and 76 are male. Of those 7 female killers, 2 were born in the 19th century and 5 in the 20th century. Out of the 76 male killers, 3 were born in the 19th century and 73 in the 20th century. It is to be expected that there are more serial killers in the 20th than in the 19th century. However, it's not because people were better or less violent back then. On the contrary, there is far less violence now than in the previous centuries, despite what people may want to believe. In the 19th century, some behavior that we would consider violent wasn't classified as such and was quite common occurrence, for example, child labor. Another thing to have in mind is that the investigative and forensic methods were not yet advanced enough to successfully apprehend the offenders. This time, unlike Aries, Taurus, and Gemini killers, most Cancer serial killers were born in the 60s, 25 of them. Remember that the decades that usually have the highest number of serial killer births are the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. Cancer serial killers come from all around the world. They're from Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Chile, China, Colombia, Czechia, Finland, France, Germany, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Panama, Russia, UK, Ukraine, and the USA. The most prolific female serial killer is Janine Jones from USA, who was born on July the 13th, 1950. Janine was a nurse who is responsible for the deaths of up to 60 infants and children in her care. She used injections of various medications to induce medical crisis in her patients, which resulted in numerous deaths. The exact number of victims remains unknown. Hospital officials allegedly misplaced and then destroyed records of Jones's activities to prevent further litigation after Jones's first conviction. The second most prolific female killer is Marie Alexandrine Becker, aka the Black Widow from Belgium, who was born on July the 14th, 1879. She poisoned 11 people and attempted to poison 5 others. She was first sentenced to death, but since capital punishment in Belgium had not been applied since 1863, her sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. The most prolific Cancer male killer is Andrés Leonardo Achipis, who was born on July the 5th, 1994, in Colombia. He is also the youngest born Cancer serial killer. He is known as the Fish, Pescadito, referring to his childhood where he sold fish in his neighborhood. He killed between 30 and 35 people in Bogota. He was also an assassin who was hired to selectively kill in exchange for large sums of money. He started off as a thief, but at the age of 16, he was contacted by a well-known criminal who hired him as an assassin. Achipis would kill his victims with firearms and sharp objects. He was arrested in 2013 at the age of 19. The second most prolific Cancer male serial killer is Carl Panzram from USA, who was born on June 28, 1891. In prison confessions and in his autobiography, Panzram confessed to having committed 21 murders, only 5 of which could be corroborated. He is suspected of having killed more than 100 men in the United States alone, and several more in Portuguese Angola. He also confessed to having committed more than 1,000 acts of rape against males of all ages. After a lifetime of crime, during which he served many prison terms and escaped from them on numerous occasions, Panzram was executed by hanging in 1930 for the murder of a prison employee at United States Penitentiary in Kansas. The most infamous cancer serial killers are Anthony Allen Shore, aka the Tourniquet Killer, and Glenn Rogers, aka the Casanova Killer or the Cross Country Killer, both from the USA. Rogers is not the only serial killer with this moniker. Paul John Knowles, a Taurus, is also known as the Casanova Killer. This is actually a fairly common occurrence, the media calling two different killers the same name. This can be due to the killers operating in the same area if the monikers are given after the location, like in the case of Baton Rouge serial killers, or some similarities of their crimes, or because one killer chose the same alias as the other killer. Anthony Allen Shore was born on June the 25th, 1962. He killed one woman and three girls. He became known as the Tourniquet Killer because of his use of a ligature with either a toothbrush or bamboo stick to tighten or loosen the ligature. Shore was sentenced to death in 2004 and executed by lethal injection in 2018. Glenn Rogers was born on July the 15th, 1962, the same year as Anthony Allen Shore. Though both are cancers, their moons and personal planets are completely different, as you'll see in the astrological analysis in this video. Rogers is responsible for at least 6 murders, though he was convicted of 3. What makes Rogers infamous is that he is considered a possible alternative suspect to O.J. Simpson in the 1994 murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Here is an interesting data. There are serial killers who were born on the same day of the same year, yet who have never met each other and have nothing to do with one another except for the fact that they are serial killers. We call them astrological twins or Astro twins. They are William Louis Rees from USA and Volker Eckert from Germany, who were born on July the 1st, 1959. William Louis Rees is an American serial killer, rapist, and kidnapper. In 2015, he was linked through DNA to the 1997 cold case murder of a girl in Oklahoma, for which he was then convicted and sentenced to death. Shortly after, he confessed to 3 murders associated with the Texas killing Fields, for which he was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment in 2022. Volker Eckert is a German serial killer who confessed to killing 6 women in East Germany, France, and Spain, though it is known that he killed at least 9 women, mostly sex workers, in several other European countries, including Italy and Czechia. He committed suicide during his criminal proceedings on July 2, 2007. As you can see, evil is not restricted to only one culture, one country, or one part of the world. There is evil in every country and every culture, and here we are trying to analyze it so that we can detect it and prevent it in the future. Now let's start with the astrological statistics. In this video, we'll be focusing on the luminaries, that is, the Sun and the Moon signs, and personal planets, that is, Mercury, Venus, and Mars signs. The rest of the planets, including some asteroids, most notably Chiron, will be taken into account when we do videos on major aspects. Bear in mind that ascendant data is rarely available and will not be included, which also means that we won't be looking at the houses. We'll start with the Moon, whose importance and influence on our daily lives is undisputed. There are many astrologers who see Moon as more important than the Sun, as it governs our emotions, intuition, instincts, emotional safety, and emotional responses. One important thing to have in mind, Moon changes sign every 2.5 days approximately. Since we don't know the exact time of birth for the majority of the serial killers, there will be those whose Moon sign may be in one of the 2 neighboring signs. Further analysis in subsequent videos will give us a better understanding of which of the 2 moon signs is more likely to be correct than the other based on the characteristics of the crimes committed. Majority of Cancer serial killers have their moon in Taurus, 11 of them. Sun in Cancer and moon in Taurus form a sextile, which is a good aspect. Moon is also exalted when in Taurus, which means that it feels extra good, as the energies of the moon, nurturing, abundance, emotions, can achieve their full extent when in Taurus. One would think that a person like this would be fully content and happy when having this Sun-Moon combination. While a sextile doesn't create inner tension, this combination is not without its fair share of problems. Mainly Moon in Taurus on its own is way too preoccupied with their own needs that they can forget the fact that other people have emotions too. Cancer Sun is generally more sensitive, and the Moon in Taurus creates a person who truly believes they are the only sensitive person in the world, that others can't understand them, and that others are essentially less emotional than they are, which subsequently can lead to the idea that other people feel less emotional and physical pain than them. that they are more ruthless, less fair, and that ultimately they do deserve what Sun in Cancer, Moon in Taurus killer is doing to them. Of the mentioned Cancer serial killers, Volker Eckert and William Lewis Rees have this moon. Next on the list, there are 6 Aries and 6 Pisces moons. Sun in Cancer and Moon in Aries form a square, which is one of the hard aspects. It is particularly difficult to have a hard aspect between Sun and Moon, as Sun represents the character of a person, their ego, and their wants, while Moon represents their personality, needs, and emotional safety. Now, imagine a person whose character and personality, whose wants and needs are in constant clash. That person feels a permanent tension within themselves that can never go away. That isn't to say that anyone with their Sun and Moon in either square or position will start a criminal career, as a lot of law-abiding citizens do have these aspects. However, these people also feel the tension that they may direct in other non-law-breaking ways, such as constant bickering, getting offended easily, starting verbal and physical fights for no reason, and so on. Cancer is emotional, docile, and sensitive. Aries, on the other hand, is pushy, relentless, and even aggressive. This is a bad combination because these two energies can't be reconciled easily. This is a person who believes everyone should do as they say, but if they don't, they can get offended as they take everything personally. They believe that others are against them when they disagree with the native, which can result in epic displays of anger. Anthony Allen Shore has his moon in Aries. Pisces moon is romantic and sensitive. They're dreamy but also a bit detached from reality. Cancer sun and Pisces moon are in the best aspect, trine. However, both signs are at times way too sensitive for this world. One would think that if someone is too sensitive, they won't be able to harm others. Unfortunately, this is often not true. This is because the more sensitive someone is, the more offended they get by everything, the more manipulative and angry they get. Actually, the more offended someone feels about everything, the less empathetic they become, because that lowers their capability of seeing anything but their own pain and suffering. None of the mentioned serial killers have their moon in Pisces. Next, there are 5 Cancer moons. Cancer Sun and Cancer Moon form a conjunction. Whenever the Sun and the Moon are in the same sign, Moon amplifies the characteristics of the Sun. A Cancer Sun with their Moon in Cancer is generally kind and gentle, but also worried about the past, the present, and the future. None of the mentioned serial killers have their Moon in Cancer. There are 4 Capricorn moon killers. Capricorn moon alongside Scorpio moon is a difficult moon position. Moon in Capricorn doesn't understand emotions well. They pretend emotions don't exist. They're cold and calculated and usually have low empathy. Not to mention that Cancer sun and moon in Capricorn form an opposition. This is actually a double trouble planetary position. It's someone who is torn between being too emotional and not emotional at all. No killer we mentioned in this video has this moon. Next, we have lots of 3s. 3 Gemini, 3 Libra, 3 Scorpio, 3 Sagittarius, and 3 Aquarius moons. Gemini moon is talkative and sociable. A Cancer sun with this moon is more outgoing than others. They like to mingle, party, and gossip. Libra moon wants to be everybody's friend. It's as sociable as the Gemini moon. However, the problem here is that Cancer sun and Libra moon are in square. We've seen that having a square or an opposition creates inner tension in a person. However, no two squares are the same, as how it will be manifested greatly depends on the signs in question. Cancer sun wants meaningful and deep connections, but Libra moon doesn't need it. This moon is perfectly content with having a seemingly good relationship with everyone, which can make them look superficial. Moon in Scorpio is another difficult moon position. Scorpio moon is intense, paranoid, dark, and obsessive. However, it's in the best aspect with Cancer sun, trine. This is good because the native has some tools that can control this deeply volatile moon. The problem is when the Cancer sun cannot control Scorpio moon anymore, and this moon explodes in the most violent fashion. Sagittarius moon is somewhat childlike and naive. They can also be very reckless and insensitive, not because they don't have emotions, but because they behave like a child. Aquarius moon is active, sociable, but emotionally detached. They think they are more intelligent than others and that they can easily outsmart them. Finally, there are 2 Leo and 2 Virgo moon killers. Leo moon thinks they are the best and they deserve the best. It gives Cancer sun unhealthy confidence, making them feel that everyone else is somehow below them. These killers may feel entitled to respect and glorification, even though they may not portray that outwardly, which can come to a surprise to people who don't know them that well and only see their more subdued side. Virgo moon forms a sextile with Cancer sun, though again, this is a good aspect. Virgo moon is generally neurotic and overly critical both of themselves and of others. If you paid attention, we said that there are 83 Cancer serial killers, however, we've only listed 51 killers' moon signs. 32 killers seem to be unaccounted for. Those are the killers who were born on the days when moon changed from one sign to another, and they will be listed separately. Therefore, there are 5 Virgo Libra, 5 Sagittarius Capricorn, 4 Taurus Gemini, and 4 Scorpio Sagittarius moons. Marie Alexandrine Becker and Andres Leonardo Achipis have their moon in either Taurus or Gemini, and Glenn Rogers in either Sagittarius or Capricorn. Next, there are 3 Pisces Aries, 2 Aries Taurus, 2 Leo Virgo, 2 Libra Scorpio, 2 Capricorn Aquarius, 2 Aquarius Pisces, and 1 Gemini Cancer moons. Carl Panzram has Pisces Aries and Janine Jones has Gemini Cancer moon. Further analysis of the individual cases and the comparison to the known moon signs will tell us which of the 2 signs is more likely to be correct. This might, of course, alter the existing statistics of serial killer moon signs, but in subsequent videos we'll see how much and in what direction. The next planet we're going to analyze is Mercury. Mercury is important to understand as it governs how we think and how we communicate with others. Mercury can be only in 3 signs: the sun sign of the native, 1 previous, and 1 subsequent sign. In the case of Cancer natives, it can be in Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. There are 36 Cancer, 26 Leo, and 21 Gemini Mercuries among Cancer serial killers. Cancer Mercury is a good listener. Generally, they appear empathetic and kind and can put at ease the people they're talking to. They can use this to their advantage when manipulating their victims and potential victims. Janine Jones and Glenn Rogers have their Mercuries in Cancer. Leo Mercury is flashy and fired up when they talk. They like to be praised for their superior intellect, even if they don't openly admit it. They're enthusiastic talkers who can get everyone wrapped around their finger. Volker Eckert, William Louis Rees, and Marie Alexandrine Becker have this Mercury. Gemini Mercury is the original talker. These people simply love to talk, and they're good at it too. They have excellent persuasion and negotiation skills. They can also be good with written words. The Cancer Sun serial killers mentioned in this video who have Mercury in Gemini are Anthony Allen Shore, Carl Panzram, and Andres Leonardo Achipis. The next planet we're going to analyze is Venus. It is a very important planet, especially for our study. Venus is the planet of beauty, aesthetics, charm, and above all, relationships. In a male chart, it indicates what kind of person the native finds attractive, while in the female chart, it tells how the woman flirts. In both male and female charts, Venus shows what we want out of a relationship and how we behave in a relationship. Since majority of the cases we're investigating are of psychosexual nature, the position of Venus is very important. This is especially true for male killers because their crimes are usually driven by sexual desires. Similar to Mercury, Venus can be only in 5 signs: the sun sign of the native, 2 previous, and 2 subsequent signs. In the case of Cancer Sun, Venus can be in Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. There are 28 Gemini, 20 Leo, 15 Cancer, 10 Taurus, and 10 Virgo Venuses. A man with his Venus in Gemini likes someone who embodies the attributes of a Gemini: talkative, flirty, and fun. A woman with this position is someone who flirts like a Gemini despite being a Cancer. She's more open in the dating game. Both male and female enjoy the cat and mouse game. Janine Jones and Carl Panzram have this Venus. Leo Venus likes to be adored and pampered. They're usually the center of attention of every dating game. If not, they will seek out people who are like that. They may be secretly jealous of those people because they're getting more attention than they are. Out of the mentioned Cancer serial killers in this video, the ones with their Venus in Leo are Anthony Allen Shore, Andres Leonardo Achipis, Volker Eckert, and William Louis Rees. Cancer Venus is romantic but also very shy. They want love, but they are afraid to actively go after it. If their love life is not satisfactory, they may get cynical and dismissive when it comes to the matters of the heart. No killer mentioned in this video has Venus in Cancer. Taurus Venus is sensual and likes to live a good life. Similar to Leo Venus, if a Taurus Venus doesn't have the life they want to have, say because of their financial situation, they may get jealous of the people who are better off than them and who do live the life they want for themselves. No killer mentioned has this Venus. Venus in Virgo is a difficult position. It is said that Venus is in fall when in Virgo. This is because Virgo doesn't understand emotions very well. They prefer to have them classified as if that's something that can be done with emotions. They're nitpicky when it comes to love and usually have a long list of things they look for in a partner. The potential partner has to tick all the boxes, obviously, which is a difficult task. If they don't, the native can see it as either the proof that they are not meant to be or that their partner is deeply flawed. Glenn Rogers and Marie Alexandrine Becker have this Venus. The last planet we'll be analyzing in this video is Mars. Mars is a very important planet, not just generally speaking, but for our astrological profiling. It deals with aggression, how we act and react to the world, the pain, and how we go about doing stuff. In a male's chart, it shows how he flirts. In the female's chart, it shows what kind of person she's attracted to. That isn't to say that when flirting, a man will not employ some of his Venus sign and the woman will not employ some of her Mars sign, as that happens often. And these two planets, Venus and Mars, are the ones most closely looked at when dealing with romantic relationships. In both charts, it is also related to sexuality. Most Cancer Sun serial killers also have their Mars in Cancer, 18 of them. This is to be expected because Cancer Mars is the most difficult Mars position. Cancer Mars is passive-aggressive, pouty, and sulky. Though they don't appear violent, they are very manipulative and want things to go their way. As we said before, an overly sensitive person often perceives others as being less emotional than them. When someone thinks everybody is evil and against them, then, in their mind, their criminal actions seem completely justified. Having Mars in Cancer is more difficult for men because of the societal perception that men should be assertive. Cancer Sun men are generally not very assertive, and the Mars in Cancer adds to the issue. They see themselves as less than others, which can create rage and jealousy. Carl Panzram has this Mars. Next, there are 14 Gemini and 14 Leo Mars killers. Gemini Mars is active and talkative. They can easily get into arguments and love to both start and win them because words are their strength. They can be reckless and inconsistent, often starting something but not finishing it. Glenn Rogers and Andres Leonardo Achipis have this Mars. Leo Mars is proud. They take great pride in what they're doing and love to be praised for that. As Cancer Suns, they won't openly show it though. They're prone to humble brag. Volker Eckert and William Lewis Rees have this Mars. Next, there are 12 Virgo Mars killers. Virgo Mars is overly critical and want everything done their way. They believe that they're always right and don't understand when people don't see their actions as being the most correct ones. The killers with this Mars are good at planning out their crimes, but may get sloppy with execution of them because they get easily emotionally overwhelmed. No killer mentioned in this video has this Mars. Further down the line, there are 8 Taurus, 7 Aries, and 6 Libra Mars killers. Taurus Mars is stubborn and lazy. It doesn't like changes and prefers to stick to the established routine. Killers with this Mars may be too attached to their crime routines that their modus operandi either doesn't evolve over time or it evolves slowly. Anthony Allen Shore has this Mars. Aries Mars is very active, assertive, and aggressive. It can turn a docile Cancer into a rage maniac in a second. They're go-getters and won't stop at nothing until they get what they want. Marie Alexandrine Becker has her Mars in Aries. Libra Mars is notoriously indecisive, which makes this Mars another of the difficult Mars positions. They may hide behind the facade of friendliness. Janine Jones has this Mars. Finally, there is 1 Scorpio, 1 Sagittarius, 1 Aquarius, and 1 Pisces Mars killer. As we've seen, Scorpio Mars is generally at the bottom of the list. It's a dark and obsessive Mars, destructive but also self-destructive. Sagittarius is active, outdoorsy, usually easygoing, but also opinionated and stubborn in their own way. Aquarius Mars is intelligent and different. They take great pride in their uniqueness, even if they're not as unique as they think. Pisces Mars is romantic and sensitive, but also manipulative and whiny. They're capable of adapting their behavior to the other person. When they like someone, they adore them, but they can easily flip the switch and start hating that person for no reason, which is when they can get very dangerous. Interestingly, no Cancer serial killer on the list has their Mars in Capricorn. What have we learned so far? Cancer serial killers are usually unassuming and can get others to trust them. They use their friendly and mild-mannered disposition to lure their victims and evade authorities. They can be very manipulative and use emotions to their advantage. That's all for today. See you in the next video where we'll be discussing Leo serial killers. Until next time.